Hi, I'm Dr. Hailey Nelson. I'm a complex care pediatrician at the Charlie Mitchell Clinic at Valley Children's Hospital. I'm a mom of three, and if you ask my kids, they'll tell you that I worry a lot. I worry because I know how kids can get hurt, and that I'm here as the ambassador for Safe Kids Central California to talk about injury prevention, how we keep our kids healthy, how we keep them safe and out of the hospital. And today I have two special guests joining me. So I will have Officer Mike and Officer Axel from California Highway Patrol. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining the show today. And we are talking about distracted driving. So April is National Distracted Driving Month. So that's why we invited both of them to come talk to us a little bit more about that and why we should keep our eyes on the road.
You got it. Well, first of all, thanks for having us share this very important message out there. So we hope the message goes viral, because we really it hits close to home, not only for us working the scenes of accidents, but we all have families too. I have little ones, and I'm married, and so it's very important that we send the message out there how important it is to make sure we keep those distractions down, especially those cell phones. April is Distracted Driver Awareness Month of 2021. So we are in our early stages of the awareness program that we put out, which is education and enforcement. So you're going to see a lot more of the black and white patrol cars, not only CHP, but local allied agencies are going to be out there targeting those who are driving while distracted with those cell phones in your hand. Obviously, this law has been around for many years. This coming July is when DMV is going to start imposing points associated with a citation for driving with a cell phone, either talking or texting. So not only are you now getting your fine from the courts, but you're also going to start getting a point imposed on your driving record. So again, that can affect you as your driving career furthers. But it's just super important for us. Nationwide, we had 1.6 million individuals that were involved in collisions as a result of distracted driving. So again, just super important for us to make sure that everyone is safe, behaving themselves, and make sure we make it from point A and to point B and all the way back without those distractions. Axel?
Thank you.
Again, thank you for having us. And this has been around for a little while, and the distractions have been around for a while. And obviously, myself and Officer Mike has been around for a while, and we've seen these things over and over again with regards to crashes. And so we just want to make sure we emphasize the importance of the safety and really to the public that distractions are still happening, and really need to put those cell phones down, but not just with cell phones, but also distractions can vary in many different ways.
Yeah, thank you guys. So getting safely from point A to point B without getting in an accident, because accidents, not only do you hurt the individuals in your car, but again, you could crash into someone else or cause a multi-car pileup. So it can really impact a lot of people. So you mentioned cell phones, that we should be putting those down. So if you get caught texting or if you're talking on your phone, so if you're holding it up, what about hands-free? Does that then, are we making it safer, or what do you recommend there?
Well, obviously, the law says we can't be driving while we're on our cell phone. This is kind of dating me, but this is the old cell phone that used to be installed in the cars. But when we're driving distracted, the cell phone law says that you cannot have it in your hand while you're either talking or texting. So anytime that phone is within your hand, you are at risk of getting stopped and obviously getting involved in a traffic collision. So that's what we're trying to prevent. But yeah, so the law just states that you cannot have it in your hand. You can have it properly mounted on your windshield. You can have it properly mounted somewhere on your dashboard where you can answer that call hands-free. But once it jumps into your hand and we see that you are actively using that cell phone, then you are at risk for a ticket. And believe it or not, we are still seeing quite a few people out there on the roads using those cell phones. We see it all. We see when we're driving down, we see them toss the phone away from them. They don't see us, but we do. These are one of the easiest violations that our officers are out there enforcing. Just anyone driving on an everyday basis, you see it. So if you're seeing it, law enforcement has seen it out there as well. And so again, we're just trying to reduce the amount of injuries, the amount of traffic collisions that are associated with the cell phone. Obviously, sometimes it's underestimated when the officers are out there investigating the traffic collision. Not everyone is willing to state that that was an associated factor in the collision. But again, we're finding that it is still a high number of drivers that are driving with those cell phones, whether it's texting, calling, if you're on social media, those things can wait. If you get that messenger request, those messages can wait for later. Those posts can wait for later. Again, your number one concern should be driving and not talking or texting.
And in addition to that, we talk about, even though it is hands-free and it is okay to do that, but really mentally is the other part, is that the fact is that you are in a conversation sometimes, and that can be a distraction by itself. So even though you are driving hands-free, the reality is that mentally, and I know I said it in the past, I mean, if you're just kind of driving along and even not on the phone, and sometimes you just don't realize what exit you just passed, it's because your mind's on something else. So when we talk about having those conversations hands-free, your mind is somewhere else. So really the idea is not even being using your cell phone, just concentrate on driving and focus on the road ahead.
Yeah, great tips. Certainly having your mind in the game and being focused when you're driving is so important. And you know, I think we can all hit autopilot a little bit with, I drive to and from work every day, so that is part of the routine. But I don't know about you guys, but if I am driving somewhere that I haven't been before, and then all of a sudden I'm like trying to make sure I don't miss that turn, or, you know, I want to make it to that location, and then to focus, it's like, oh, let me turn down the radio. Let me like really, you know, be paying attention. And so it's interesting that, you know, the distractions not only come from phones, but other things. So when you're actually paying attention and focusing and not just on autopilot. I think distracted driving, so it's more than just the phones, but the phones are by far the number one kind of culprit that distract us. But what are some other things that distract drivers and can cause problems?
Well, really, driving is multitasking in and of itself. You know, we're concentrating on where we're going, like you were saying. We're looking for that next street sign. We're looking for our destination. But yeah, there's a lot of distraction there. We have our radios. We're trying to find our favorite song, or we're singing to our favorite song while we're driving. Obviously, anything that diverts your attention off of the roadway, such as singing to yourself or singing to your passengers, looking at the radio, doing your fingernails, shaving. We've seen it all. Reading a book. We've seen drivers out there with the morning newspaper laid across their steering wheel as they're trying to drive through commute traffic. It's mind-boggling why people would take that risk, but they are still doing that. So again, there's a multitude of different distractions inside your vehicle. Again, your focus needs to be on driving. Have that high visual horizon. Always look at what's in front of you, the danger that may present itself as you're approaching it. So in addition to, like you were saying, the cell phone, there's so many other distractions, and limit it. Just about everything can wait. If it can't wait, if you have to do whatever task that you're thinking of doing, find a safe location, pull over, stop, take care of whatever issue you got to take care of, and go on your way. We would rather you be a little bit late or tardy in your trip to your destination, rather than be very extended after being involved in a collision because you were distracted.
Yeah, one of the other things so you mentioned a lot of things that people do with the newspaper or seeing people shave. Like I always, it's interesting when you stop at a red light and you kind of look over and you can see like who's putting on their mascara while driving. I'm like, nope, those things, like, take care of them before you get behind the wheel. We're going to do another Facebook Live at some point talking about car seats, but that's something as a parent, like making sure my kids are restrained, and then that way they aren't able to distract me. But then if you have pets, so I am also a dog mom, and we have two really cute dogs, and in order to ride in the car, they either need to be in their kennel, or one of our dogs actually has a harness with its own like seatbelt buckle. So being able to restrain animals because I think oftentimes you see people with, the dog in the driver's seat hanging its head out the window. I'm like, that's just as distracting as a kid. And you're then at risk of injuring your dog and yourself if you got in an accident. So being careful there too.
Very good tip.
Thank you. Okay, so teenagers. I was going to segue to teenagers because I think they are kind of that first year of driving, right? Your risk of being distracted, and as you're a new driver, and then there's some resources for them. So, which one of you would like to tell me a little bit more about that?
Go ahead, Axel. Really with teenagers along the same lines, really it's a new driver, and with new drivers, they're still learning how to get behind the wheel of that car and driving and being focused on the surroundings. And so much more important for them to really focus on the law or on the road. And that's why there is a law where it talks about we have to be 18 to use hands-free. So anyone younger than 18 is not allowed to use those any kind of device. Again, going back to new drivers, understand the road, understand the laws, and really want them to, again, practice makes better in the sense of just being behind the wheel of the car and understanding the vehicle and the surroundings. And so want to make sure they are hands-free under 18. And even if you're, again, over the age of 18, can have hands-free, but really ultimately want to make sure you're focusing on the road and practicing safe driving, whether it's distances between the cars in front of you, but also just getting into the habit of looking ahead and focusing on the road ahead.
Great.
And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to set the example as a parent or a guardian to these impressionable new drivers. Just because you are a seasoned, we'll call you a seasoned driver, but driving for a while, they are watching you and they're picking up your bad habits. So if they see you on your phone, see you answering your text messages, sending out messages, scrolling through your social media as you're driving, you're setting that example. You're setting them up for failure when they become the new driver. So again, make sure you as the parent or guardian are making those right decisions too, setting the good example for those that are watching you from the passenger seats.
Oh, that's such a great tip. And as a parent, I mean, our kids really are watching us. And so even though you're not thinking about it because you're on autopilot, driving them to school as you do every day, or whatever that activity is that you might be out and in the car with your children. But if you're the one running those yellow lights and thinking that I can make it before it turns red, or doing things and showing them that it's okay for mom and dad to be distracted, they're going to grow up and when they get behind the wheel, that's the last thing you want your kids to be doing. So we don't want you to do it while they're in the car with you, so that all of you arrive at your destination safely, but then making sure that they learn those good driving skills. Now, since we are live on Facebook, we actually have some questions coming in. So one of the questions is, what resources does CHP offer for new drivers?
The Highway Patrol, we have a class that's called Start Smart. It's offered at every CHP office throughout California. Because of the COVID issue, those classes have been postponed. We are anticipating to bring those back here in mid-April. So keep a look on our social media sites. We do put that information out, as well as give your local CHP office a call and just ask about the Start Smart program. It's a program that is linked with not only the new driver, but also the parent or guardian. We want to make sure that it's a joint effort, because it really is. It should be something that the parent and the new driver are sharing their experiences with, to make sure we promote safe driving habits. It's a free class. Oftentimes your insurance company will also give you a discount. So if you attend our class, so you might give your insurance company a call and see if that is an option that they do provide. But it's about an hour and a half to 2 hour class. We go through tips and pointers that we as officers have seen in the field, as well as new laws that are coming up, and just a different view of driving for the new driver. So Start Smart is a really good program. So keep an eye on that. Call your local CHP office and let us know if you're interested in book an appointment.
And also, as always, we have our Facebook. I mean, sorry, really our social media that has information all the time. But also just on our website, we do provide the different pamphlets, different information for parents and and really the new driver. Just some helpful tips for them to get out there, but also for parents to share with their teen drivers.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll make sure that we include the links for Start Smart as well as those pamphlets below this video. So if you're watching after we finish recording today, all of that information will be there. Axel and Mike, it's so great to have you guys here. Any closing remarks before we wrap it up and go to our PowerPoint slides?
Oh, we just encourage safe driving out there. We don't want to meet you, even though we do. We don't want to meet you when we're responding to an accident that you are unfortunately going to be involved in. So again, just be a good, safe driver. Always use those seat belts for not only the driver, but every single passenger in there. Make yourself as safe as possible as you're making that commute wherever you may be going. If you do see us, give us a little wave. We are friendly and we're here to help. If there's any questions that you might have, especially for the Fresno area, CHP Fresno, we have our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages. So make sure you follow us. We try and update those as often as we can. So make sure you follow us. Take a look at those tips and pointers that we give. But again, just safe travels out there. And Axel, we'll turn it over to you.
Again, just be patient. Nowadays, everyone seems to be in such a rush sometimes to get places. So make sure you leave plenty of time to wherever you're going. For the teen drivers, again, we know sometimes you have a busy life, and just make sure you have that time set out for driving and for crashes that might occur during the time, some construction. So again, leave time on your travels.
All right, great. Thank you, guys. For National Distracted Driving Awareness Month, just a reminder for everyone. So we've got our safety tips up here that reckless and distracted driving is the #1 killer of teens in America. So that's really why we're out here today and talking about this, that 1.6 million crashes each year are by drivers using their cell phones and texting, although that number might be higher because not everyone is truthful in reporting whether or not their phone was involved. Distracted driving is really anything that is going to take you away from focusing on the road. So we are talking visual, cognitive, manual. So if you are trying to open your drink, if you are carrying on a conversation, if you are doing something other than driving, that is a distraction. And driving is really complex. So it requires your full attention. And just remember, hands-free does not mean that it is safe. So if you have it in your hand, we just learned today that you're going to start losing those points. So they will pull you over, you will get a ticket. But even if your phone's not in your hands, that trying to carry on a conversation while driving is not always the safest thing to do. Teens, we really appreciate you. It's so exciting when you get your driver's license and you have that independence, but you are at most risk for distracted driving. So we really want you to be paying attention as a new driver. It's so important that you are just getting a lay of the vehicle and the road and what you're doing. So please drive defensively. It's everyone's responsibility to keep our roads safe. There's the Impact Teen Drivers program, as well as some of the other programs we heard about and pamphlets, which we will be including links at the end of this video. Please continue to follow us on Safe Kids Central California. We have our next episode coming up on the 21st. We're going to be covering youth sports and talking about different safety tips there. We have our website as well, and we look forward to seeing you. Stay safe and be well.